Can anybody hear?
I think that's on purpose. Don't worry.
This is Cotswold District Council Live. Good afternoon and welcome to another episode of Cotswold District Council Live. I'm Councillor Joe Harris and I'm joined today by Councillor Jenny Ford, our Cabinet Member for Health and Wellbeing here in the Cotswolds. I'm also joined by Rob Weaver, our Chief Executives, and we have got a waiting room full of guests ready to answer your questions. We've got another incredible show lined up for you this month, as we usually do, and this is your opportunity to learn all about what your local council is doing, ask us questions, and to help shape the future of the district. Today, we're talking about how the COVID vaccine rollout is changing all of our lives for the better. We're talking to the movers and shakers making things happen in the Cotswolds, in their communities through our Cotswold Crowdfunding initiative. We'll also be taking your questions live, so make sure to post them in the comment section and we'll do our best to get around to as many of them as possible. So we're going to start first with the road out of lockdown. Hi, my name is Councillor Joe Harris and I'm the leader of Cotswold District Council. And I'm also the last Cotswold District Councillor to be getting my vaccine here at Cirencester Hospital today. And I'm in the 25 to 30-year-old age group and we're finally being called up to get our vaccination. So I encourage everybody, if you haven't had your vaccine yet and you're eligible, please go and get it. So that was quick, it was easy and it was painless. I didn't even know I'd been injected. So I've got my first dose now, I'll be coming back in a couple of months' time for my second dose. I just want to repeat, please get your COVID-19 vaccine. I want to say a massive thanks to all the NHS staff here at Cirencester and also up in the North Cotswolds for everything that they've been doing to help make this vaccine a success. And of course, a massive thank you to all our volunteers too. Thank you. I'm thrilled to say we are joined by Dr. Angus McMahon from NHS Gloucestershire Clinical Commissioning Group, and he is the Clinical Director for the South Cotswolds Primary Care Network and the lead for the Cirencester vaccination site. Dr. Angus, did I get that right, first of all? That is quite a mouthful.
That's me. As many hats and job titles as possible, yes please.
Fantastic, I know how you feel. Jenny, just turn to you quickly. It's been great, hasn't it? We've been speaking to many residents over the last few weeks and months, and Yeah, I think we're all pleasantly surprised with how effective the COVID vaccination rollout is going, and it's been very successful here in the Cotswolds.
Absolutely, we really are, and it's great to have you here, Dr. Angus. Yeah, we've been really pleased with how excited actually everyone's got about getting the vaccine and telling each other and sharing those stories. So it's gone exactly as we'd hoped in many ways. And we've been very proud at how many we've managed to vaccinate across the district. So it has been fantastic with people helping each other out to get to their vaccine appointments, because obviously we live in a very rural district. So I just wanted to ask you really how is the vaccine rollout progressing in the Cotswolds from your perspective as a medical practitioner?
We're really pleased with how it's gone. Gloucestershire as a whole is leading the entire country in terms of penetration into how many people are having them done and getting on with getting as many people as possible done. In the Cotswolds, there are 2 hubs providing the vaccines, one provided by the North Cotswolds Primary Care Network and one in Cirencester for the South Cotswolds Primary Care Network. In Cirencester, we've done 56,000 vaccinations as of yesterday. And we've invited everybody 18 and over now to have a vaccine done.
Yeah, that's really exciting, and we've got somebody here in the studio today who's getting theirs in the next couple of days, and they're very excited about it. Are you seeing any barriers at all to uptake? And if there are, what are they that are unique to the Cotswolds?
I think there was a period of concern regarding both vaccines at different times about perhaps some of the potential side effects and implications of them. We've done a lot of work reassuring people that those well-publicised side effects are very, very rare indeed, and are a much smaller risk than the risk of getting COVID. So we've done a lot of encouraging people to get things done. The other issue has just been about convenience of getting an appointment done and an appointment made. So this weekend we've got a lot of availability. We've got over 700 empty appointment slots at Cirencester Hospital this weekend. So we've just made the decision that anybody over the age of 18 who hasn't had a COVID jab is very welcome to turn up as a walk-in on a first-come, first-served basis, Saturday or Sunday this week at Cirencester Hospital, and they'll get a jab done without an appointment if they just arrive.
Okay, that's brilliant. That's hot off the press. You heard it here first. Yeah. Is that just for the first jab, or can that be for people who are looking to get their second?
That's for first jabs, and then we'll make sure that you get your second one done.
Okay, fantastic. And can you give us an update on the COVID picture in the Cotswolds at the moment?
We look very similar to the rest of the country, that cases are rising, but that importantly, it doesn't yet appear that hospital numbers and deaths are following that trend in the same way as they did during the first 2 peaks. So whilst cases have been increasing, and important to say that cases are increasing of the Delta variant, and for the Delta variant it's really, really important that you've had your second jab done. The coverage from the first jab is great, but to be properly protected against the Delta variant, you need to have had your second jab, so please make sure you can't get that done. Okay, that's really useful. And it's interesting, isn't it? I think people thought that once they'd got both of their jabs as well, that they would be invincible, and I think it's become a more nuanced, complicated message to give people now, hasn't it? That you can actually still transmit and still catch it and still be, ill with it. So I wondered if you had any particular message you would like us to give our residents at the moment. I think it goes to just keep going with it. We're all fed up with this. We all desperately want to end as soon as it's humanly possible. But you're right, the jab is about getting protection for yourself, but also protection for the entire community by reducing the risk of transmitting it. You're reducing the risk of giving it to other people, but it doesn't make you invincible.
Absolutely. So I think it's a bit like my Swiss cheese analogy that I've used before, that actually all of these things need to be used in conjunction, and like a single layer of cheese, it has holes in it, but when you lie them all on top of each other, then you have much more solid protection. So I think I'm going to keep using that analogy because I like it. But thank you very much, Dr. Smith. Thank you for all that you do for us in our NHS. We're very proud of you, and we're also very proud of our residents for being so fantastic in keeping themselves and each other safe.
Pleasure. Thanks very much for having me.
Thank you, Dr. Angus. And while we're talking about good health and well-being, we all saw the really scary scenes at the European Championships with poor Christian Eriksen suffering a cardiac arrest on the pitch, and a really good reminder actually that we've got a defibrillator scheme here in the Cotswolds, and we've seen a fantastic uptake over the last decade or so. We've got many more defibrillators than we would have done as a result of communities fundraising and using the district council's funds available, which is really good news. So I think just to recap, if somebody is having a cardiac arrest, the first thing to do, or is unconscious, the first thing to do is dial 999. Don't hesitate, call 999 straight away. Don't give rescue breaths, but start with hands-only CPR. And use public access defibrillator if there is one available. The 999 operator should be able to direct you to a local defibrillator if there is one available. As I said, there are many defibrillators in public places across the Cotswolds, and you can find your nearest public access defibrillator on the National Defibrillator Database, or look for a green AED sign to locate community defibrillators. I know that Cirencester Town Council have quite an extensive list of all of them in the Cirencester area, so do check that out. And in terms of our financial support, we can offer up to £625 towards a community purchase of a defibrillator. So if you want any more information about that, do contact Jacqueline Wright, I think who's on the call, who will be able to point you in the right direction and get that going. So please do look at that, and if you can't think about where your nearest defibrillator is, it might be worth looking in, and you could be the one that gets one in your community. Now, for our next segment, we're going to be talking about the incredible crowdfunding initiative going on in the Cotswolds.
Hi, I'm Jenny Ford from Cotswold District Council, and I'm here today with Susie Bromwich from Cotswold Friends, and we're here to talk about Space Hive and our hashtag Cotswold Crowdfund initiative. So thank you so much for coming today, Susie.
Oh, thank you for inviting me.
No, it's great to have you. It's great to see somebody in person at the moment. So I just wondered if you could start by just explaining to us your crowdfunding project and what you're raising money for at the moment.
Yes, but this is a special project which is new, and it's really in response to the COVID pandemic.
That's absolutely brilliant. And how is it going at the moment? How is the project going?
Well, actually, I'm really pleasantly thrilled. It's going quite well. We are, as of today, we're 75% funded.
Yes.
And thank you, everybody. Big call out, shout out to thank everyone who has supported us so far.
Yeah. And how much longer have you got left to raise the money?
We've got just a month till the end of July.
Okay.
So, it's the last push.
The last push.
Yeah. But it's thanks to our fantastic volunteers. We have well over 450 volunteers, all local people in our community, and they all give the most precious thing, and that's time.
Yes, absolutely. How can people get involved in your project, either through donating money, or what are the other ways that they can support?
Well, obviously, we really appreciate donations, and the smallest donation starts at £2.
Yes.
So it's less than the price of a sandwich, folks.
Yes.
So it'd be wonderful if people feel that they can donate.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
And just finally, this is the first round of these that we have done on this new crowdfunding platform. So I just wondered how you think it's going and what your thoughts are about it as a new project.
I think it's a very good idea. People are getting more used to IT and communicating online. So it's good to do that, especially in a rural area where communications can be difficult.
Well, thank you so much, Susie, for all that you're doing. I wish you every success with the project. We look forward to you being overfunded soon.
Well, I hope so. Thank you very much, Jenny. Thanks.
Well, I'm thrilled to say that we've got Susie with us. Susie, how are you? Thank you for joining us. Oh, can we hear you, Susie? Is it our end or your end? You unmuted. Do you want to try speaking? Oh, there we go. We can hear.
That technical glitch.
That's all right. Don't worry. We've certainly all done it at least 5 times in the last year. So no problem at all. Susie, great to have you. We're also joined by Caitlin Hicks from Space Hive, a bit of a veteran now of Cotswold District Council Live. We've got Jackie Wright, who is our lead officer on this at the council, and a very good job Jackie does. And of course, we've got our very own Jenny. So Jenny, over to you.
Thank you very much. Well, I was going to tell you a little bit about what Crowdfund Cotswold is in terms of its relation to Space Hive, but seeing as we have Caitlin here, Caitlin, I wondered if you could give us a perfect summary of what this is all about.
Yes, I'll make sure it's perfect. Crowdfund Cotswold is all about making it as easy as possible for people to make a difference where they live, work, play. So it makes it as easy as possible for you to put a project onto the platform and attract support from your community to bring it to life. So we've got a load of projects on the platform that have been crowdfunding for a couple of months now. And we've got a funding round coming up. I'm sure we'll share the details on that soon. So yeah, we'd really encourage as many people as possible to get involved. It's been amazing to see Susie's project go from strength to strength. We've had 4 successful projects so far, and they've raised almost £40,000 between them, which is phenomenal. But we've still got another 12 projects crowdfunding right now. So if you are interested in backing local projects, all you need to do is head on over to the Crowdfund Cotswold page, and there you can pledge as little as £2. And the total value of these projects is £200,000. So yeah, they need all the help they can get to reach the target and bring their ideas to life. But of course, it's all about the council getting behind the projects, communities, but businesses too, and any other local funders that want to get involved. The evidence is there. We've had over 1,000 backers so far come on board to support all the projects. And by the time those other 12 hit their targets, who knows how many people from across the Cotswolds will have got involved. So yeah, I'd really urge everyone to take a look at the projects and make a pledge if you fancy.
Yeah, absolutely. It's been really fantastic actually, and I think our residents are telling us that charity, really does begin at home, and they like knowing that their directions are going to hyper-local projects, and seeing where their money is being spent absolutely directly in front of their eyes is what's really, getting people behind it. And we all know, don't we, that often these local ideas are driven by 1 or 2 very hard-working people, and this enables them to build a crowd of support that ensures that these projects actually happen. So it's been absolutely wonderful watching these people get behind each other within these communities to help these hit their targets. There have actually been some good questions that have come in today that I thought I could ask some of you, seeing as we have you all here. So one of them was, I would like to run, this is from Rose in Mickleton, who said, I would like to fund an outdoor music event in the Cotswolds. That sounds awesome. Is this possible using Space Hive? And who else would I need to involve to ensure I have all the correct licenses and rights to hold such an event? So I think there are 2 parts to that question. Caitlin, did you want to ask the bit about they'd like to fund an outdoor music event?
Yeah, sure. We have got over 2,000 successful projects on the platform across the UK. So a number of those are going to be outdoor music events. So certainly, if they want to share their idea with us, we'll be really happy to match them up perhaps with some other Space Hive crowdfunding alumni and see how they can cost up their project to make it happen.
Yeah, absolutely. And if you go to the website as well, you can see there are a couple of workshops coming up that you can go along to find out exactly how to get your project started. Jackie, hello. Jackie's been working very, very hard behind all of this, and actually I have to give her a huge amount of credit because she was the one who originally came to me and found Space Hive in the middle of, I think it was of the first lockdown, and said, I think we should be doing this, and here we are, so thank you to her. Jackie, what advice can we give as a council in terms of ensuring all the licences and the rights and things like that are in place to hold such an event?
Yes, I think that's a brilliant idea. We love a public event. Definitely our brilliant licensing team and my colleague Michelle Bignell, they're always happy to help. Depending on the size and the location of the event, of course, other agencies might need to be involved, but our licensing team will be able to advise on that and give the relevant contact details. And you can also find some advice and support on our website. Just head over to cotswold.gov.uk and look at business and licensing and organising public events page. or just call our main switchboard and ask for the licensing team. And SpaceHive obviously will be able to give advice in terms of the crowdfunding process and how you can start a good campaign.
Yeah, and I think you hit the nail on the head there as well, Jackie, in terms of, really is the sky is the limit with these projects. Anything you can think of that brings people together and improves where you live, we're really up for it. So it's a very liberating way of funding projects. We haven't got a list of don'ts. We've more got a list of do's. And actually, we've just had a message in saying from Jennifer Sargent Lanham, who says, we are very grateful to Cotswold District Council for their match fund crowdfunding grant opportunity. They received £4,000 for the Cotswold Cup reusable cup deposit scheme, and our aim is to reduce the number of single-use disposable cups which go to landfill or are incinerated. And we've been so impressed with how many of these have had a climate emergency theme to them, and we're really thrilled that we can be working with our communities to improve our impact in the environment as well through this. So really great to see that really taking off, that particular project. And also businesses, it's a great opportunity, isn't it, for local businesses to get involved too. So I noticed this morning that Harrison, James and Hardy, which is an estate agents in Bourton, and the Old New Inn pub, and QOD Construction Limited in Chipping Camden, all of them have donated as businesses to some of their local projects. And I think it's a great way for businesses and communities to work together to bring people together as well. So we hope to see that, increase in the future as well. Jackie, was there anything else that you wanted to let our residents or people watching know about Crowdfund Cotswold whilst you've got the platform?
Yeah, just please get involved. We really trust your ideas and skills, and you know best what's important for your local place. So please get involved, come up with your ideas, and we are really happy to support you. You know best what's best for your place, and we would like to support you in shaping your own community.
Yes, absolutely.
We've got a couple more questions here, if I may. We've got Jason in North Leach. If my project does not reach its target, what are the next steps?
Oh yes, Caitlin, did you want to talk through that? It's a common question.
Yeah, absolutely. So if your project doesn't reach its target, SpaceHive uses an all or nothing model, and this means you do need to hit your target to unlock the funds and deliver your project. So this can sound scary, but it's why SpaceHive has the highest success rate of any crowdfunding platform in the UK, because it creates momentum, it creates urgency, and ultimately you're going to need the funds you need to make the project happen. And hopefully you'll have hundreds of people looking to see the project come to life. So if you do not make your target, the pledges won't be collected, and you're welcome to start your campaign again. The SpaceHive team are on hand to help you plan a campaign. And of course, if you are successful in getting a pledge from the council and come back again, I'm sure you'd hopefully be successful in securing another one to go the distance. So yeah, we'd really encourage you to try again. Now, I don't want to make anyone complacent, but if you are close to your target, you've got an incredibly high chance of hitting your target, because people will want to make sure you get to the 100% mark. So we're happy to work with you to design your project, get that target as low as possible, make your project realistic, but it really is your best chance of going on and delivering your project.
And Caitlin, we've got another question here from Tom in South Cerney. How can I get more people interested in my SpaceHive project? I know, talking to a few people, you do have to do the campaigning alongside it. It's not just a case of it's up on the website and leaving it. You have to be proactive, don't you?
Yeah, I think the best idea in the world, if you put it online, won't necessarily have hundreds of people flocking to it. It's, crowdfunding is just as much about the marketing side as it is the fundraising side. So it's really about getting your community bought in. Most of the pledges for your project are going to come from a 2-mile radius. The reward of your project is actually it being delivered for local people and getting involved. So it depends what stage you're in, really. If you're designing your project, why not get the project created onto the platform, start showing local people the idea, get them to feed into it, be invested from the start. And also then, once you are thinking about how to communicate it, make sure you're super clear about what it is you're trying to do, make sure it's appealing as possible to people and accessible, but also novel. So it doesn't have to be a brand new idea, but what is the angle you're bringing to your project that's going to get people excited? It doesn't need to be front page news, but what's going to get your project into the local paper. So do have a think about that, and we're here to support you with the way you communicate your idea too. Everything from a really exciting project image, maybe even create a video, and then once you're live, you can tap into support from the project success team. Time spent planning your campaign is going to save you loads of time later on when you do launch. So we're here to help you plan a fantastic campaign from the start. And then if your project has a particular theme, whether it is the environment like the reusable coffee cup scheme, you could even find that you can tap into an audience beyond your own local community, perhaps whether that's grants that support environmental projects, or other people across the UK who want to help these kinds of schemes get started. So just make sure you're sharing the impact your project is going to have, share the human stories behind it, and ultimately people will start to understand what success means and they'll want to be part of that success.
Okay, you've got a couple more questions. Amanda Jane Davis on Facebook. Hi Amanda, regular viewer. Glad to have you with us. Please confirm if parish councils are lawfully allowed to pledge. I don't see why they wouldn't. Rob?
Yes, they are.
I don't think there's any problem at all with that.
Exactly.
We want to hear from as many people as
Yeah,
possible.
they are. And lots of parish councils have already got way behind some of the projects that we've got live. So yeah, no, it's wonderful. There's, as I said, it really is open to everybody and for everyone to get behind these projects. And just out of interest, this kind of ties into another question we've had, which is Juliet in Lechlade, who said, how much money has been crowdfunded so far in the Cotswolds in total? So we've only just launched it, but already to date, we've pledged just over $250,000 has been pledged by 1,061 backers in total. So that's just at the very beginning. So I think that gives you some idea, having only just started, how much we can leverage using this platform. So it really, is very exciting times.
Yeah, and we've got a fantastic array of projects that are being backed, and we're going to run through them quickly because I think, come on, let's give them a shout out, shall we? So we've got 13 projects supported by Cotswold Community Fund at the minute. The Ernest Wilson Garden Paths Project, the Naunton Village Playground Project, Down Ampney Children's Playground, the Avening Zip Wire, Cotswold Friends Independent Living, the Rural Black History Project, Enable Wellbeing in Nature Cirencester, Chipping Camden Amphitheatre, Young Gloucestershire's Cotswold Chat, the Cotswold Reusable Cup Scheme, Tetbury Bowls, that's for toilet and club extension, the Kingham to Bourton Recreational Trail, and last but not least, the Cotswold Lakes Perch Pod. That sounds exciting. So some really great schemes there, and we'd encourage everybody watching, spread the word, get online and make a pledge. We've all got a fiver we can spare. So come on, let's get donating. Susie, I want to give the last words to you. You're nearly there. Fundraising. What are your hopes for the future?
Oh, well, we really hope we'll reach our target and that our service, the independent service, which is to help older people coming out of lockdown to regain their independence and their confidence and capability, we really hope that we'll be able to help as many people who need it, who come to us and ask for help. So we set a target initially of about 50 people to help. We reckon we'd find them. Already we are helping, or in process of helping, 50 older people, and in fact 17 of those already well on their way, supported and taken their first steps of independence. So keep them coming. So keep your likes, your shares and your donations coming, and we'll be able to help more people locally. Thank you very much.
Brilliant, thank you Susie. And I've just had a message pop up on my screen. Jennifer from the Cotswold Cup is being interviewed later this week on North Cotswold Community Radio, so do check that out. Susie, thank you for joining us. I'm going to ask Caitlin and Jackie to hang on, because we might have some questions. So if you can hang on. Susie, thank you so much for joining us, and you are allowed to go, as my teacher used to say.
Thanks very much, Joe.
Thank you, Susie.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Bye. So we're going to talk now about improving green and open spaces, and I'm thrilled to say we should be joined by Councillor Rachel Coxcoon.
You are?
Oh, Rachel, it's always a delight to see you. Having said that, I do feel I know that room very well now, seeing as every time you've been on a call, I've been looking at that, and yeah, the transformation over the last year has been really impressive. So you've been putting lockdown to good use. Here at Cotswold District Council, we're really keen to improve green and open spaces. Rachel, tell us what our plans are and how we want to get residents involved.
Yeah, so people are probably aware, or hopefully will be aware soon, that we're updating the local plan, which is the planning framework that determines how development happens in the district. And one of the reasons we wanted to do that was to make it green to the core, particularly in light of the climate emergency. But as part of that work and sort of alongside it, people may be aware that Cotswold District Council already had a very good reputation for the work that we do on biodiversity and nature conservation, and particularly the good working relationship we have with the Conservation Board for the AONB. And so the team that does that within the council, the team of officers, have been looking into what we can do to improve green infrastructure across the district, and putting in place a strategy that will both feed into that update of the local plan, but also feed into the wider work that the council is doing about health and well-being. And I think we're all sort of under the impression in the Cotswolds that because it's quite rural and quite green in that sense, you look around, there's a lot of landscape to look at, as it were, that we're quite well provided for. Therefore, as a population, we're not sort of in the middle of a big city somewhere where nobody's got a garden and nobody can get to the park. But what this work has really flagged up is that actually in terms of some of the national standards on access to green spaces, whether you've got a place where you can go and let your kids run around, whether you've got a place you can go and walk your dog or take a walk in the fresh air, that's publicly accessible, that's close to where you live, that you can get to, walking or cycling, actually the Cotswolds doesn't score as highly as you might think. And so what staff have been looking at is really how can we sort of direct the design and delivery of better green infrastructure in the Cotswolds in the future, alongside, new housing development will have to come forward. We have targets to meet. How can we guide what we want to see out of that? And how can we help address some of these missing pieces of infrastructure where in some of our communities it's clear that the access isn't really necessarily what we'd hoped it might be. So it's, as I said, it's an evidence base for the new local plan, and it will feed into other strategies. And it also sort of complements the work that our Cabinet Member for Health and Wellbeing, Jenny Ford, is doing on the leisure strategy. So we've put together the strategy. There's a marvellous website, which I can share the link for, which is nice and interactive. You can get on there, you can assess that, you can look directly to your village or town, just look at the issues in your area, or you can select the areas that are the overview, and you can comment on whichever sections you want via the consultation.
Brilliant, exciting news. I think we'll jump straight to some questions because I think you've done the sell very well there, Rachel. How can we disagree? Get online and get commenting. That's the main thing. Right, Adam is in Moreton-in-Marsh. That's your home patch, Rachel. So, will the council be dedicating any green areas for wildflowers? Other parts of the country have dedicated miles of verges for wildflowers. With such a large district, surely there is something we can do on a large scale to promote wildflower growth. Rachel.
Yeah, so this Adam's question is probably triggered by the fact that there's been a lot about this in the press over the last year, particularly early in lockdown last year. There's a marvellous charity called Plant Life, operating out of Wiltshire, I think, who are running a scheme around getting councils to not mow their verges and their open spaces and let the wildflowers grow up and seed and just really improve biodiversity. But for Cotswold, one of our problems is that as a council, we own almost no land. So lots of people sort of tend to assume, for example, that all the roadside verges are to do with the district council, but they actually largely belong to the county council, and some of the pathways and the verges alongside pedestrian roadways and so on often belong to the parish and town councils. So in terms of us allocating large areas of our own land for wildflowers, that's not something that's really within our gift. But we certainly are signed up to the Plant Life International protocol on managing road verges, and I'm aware that the County Council have also signed up to that. So if you're concerned particularly about road verges and about parks and playing fields in your community, the two organisations you need to speak to really are going to be your county council and probably either your town and parish council, and talking to them and guiding them through to Plant Life's resources, which are really great and very helpful, and just encouraging them to see if they can set aside at least some of that land for low mow or no mow regime, so that you get that seeding and that growing up of the wildflowers. But in terms of Cotswold's own land management, we own very, very little.
Yeah.
But within our cemeteries, many of which are in the Cirencester area actually, that is definitely something that we are looking into changing the regime to accommodate.
Thank you, Rachel. And I think, Adam, I'd contact your local county councillor, Mark Mackenzie Charrington. I'm sure he'd be delighted to hear from you on this, and I'm sure he'll be able to, lobby on your behalf. I know that in Cirencester, on our ring road, we had a really positive meeting with Highways recently, and it looks like we're going to get a bit of a scheme underway there, a bit of a trial scheme, to dredge up, to redo the land and get some wildflower seed planted. So hopefully this time next year we'll have a scheme underway, which is good news. So let's go to John in Cirencester now. If the council's now pushing towards greener infrastructure, what does this mean for its proposed multi-storey car park at the Waterloo? Rob, over to you. The easy question.
Thanks, Joe. I always get the easy questions. I think as Rachel alluded to, one of the things we're clearly looking to do as part of our local plan refresh is do a bit of a master planning exercise around Cirencester. So what do we want Cirencester to look like, feel like, and be like for our residents and businesses over the next 5, 10, 15 years? And clearly, I think what we're doing as part of that piece of work is looking at the feasibility analysis around what is transport going to look like 20 years from now, and how do we start preparing for that? So I think the short answer to the question is we're doing some evidence gathering around the Waterloo car park, which will inform our decisions about whether that's still required or actually whether we could do something else to shape up Cirencester in a different way.
Brilliant. Similar question, Chris in Bourton on the Water. How do you plan to make travel more sustainable in the Cotswolds? We live in such a large rural district, and there is increasingly limited public transport. Considering the majority of the public cannot afford electric vehicles at the moment, regardless of the infrastructure required, how on earth do you expect to encourage more sustainable forms of transport? Rachel.
Yeah, thank you. That's a great question, and it's a perennial problem for rural district councils. So as you're aware, we are in a two-tier district, and so transport is largely the preserve of the county council. And that's something that we as a district have found rather frustrating, because all county councils are underfunded, and where they have been able to secure funding for public, particularly active travel, like cycling and walking, that money tends to be spent in Cheltenham and Gloucester, where the big centres of population are. And for the Cotswolds, that's a problem. So what we did back in September last year was we took the decision through a full council meeting to appoint our own sustainable transport officer, with recruitment taking a little while. That person's only now been in post for a couple of months, but I'm pleased to say she settled in well. We stole her from another county council, not Gloucestershire, so we haven't left them without staff. And the real aim of doing that is that what we really want to do is provide evidence. We cannot ask people to get out of their cars in the Cotswolds, and you're absolutely right to point out that not everyone can afford an electric car. And even if they could, that's not the answer. What we can't do is just swap out all of the current types of cars for electric cars, because that doesn't tackle congestion, it doesn't tackle the dust and the low-level pollution that comes from braking and tyre erosion. It doesn't tackle the fact that children can't play in the streets because they're so overloaded with cars. So we very much want to create modal shift first. And right now, as a council, we don't have the evidence for that, because in the past it's always been left to the county, and the county just seem unable to deliver for the rural areas because they are underfunded. And so our new officer is beginning to build us a sustainable travel strategy, which will be focusing on engaging with the parish and town councils and communities firstly in our 17 principal settlements, starting, Cirencester, Tetley, Morton, all the way down to the smaller villages like Willersey and Mickleton, and understanding what are the barriers. What is it in Morton Marsh that means you can't walk your child to school, or you're unable to go to the shops without using your car? What is it in Willersey that stops you doing X, Y, and Z on a bike? And when we can sort of build that evidence base for what is it that's stopping people from using their bikes and walking, particularly on those shorter journeys from the edge to the middle of a settlement, then we can make a case for funding. And the good news is that where I'm largely not terribly impressed with what central government is doing. I have to say that the Department for Transport is a government department that's just doing really well on these issues. They've got something called the gear change strategy that was published last year, a vision for cycling to become mass transit, to become the main way that we move around within our settlements, and walking, and a really clear kind of pathway for that to happen. So when we can produce our own evidence, and we know what needs to happen within our own settlements, we'll be able to support the county to apply for that funding now that the Department for Transport seems to be going in the right direction. So I feel like we're getting there, but as with everything, you've got to have the evidence before you can make a bid.
Rachel, absolutely excellent, as always. So thank you very much. If you do want to go and check out the draft green infrastructure study, you can go to Cotswold District Council's website, cotswold.gov.uk/green infrastructure. So we're going to wrap up now. I'm going to thank my guests for coming along today. Caitlin, thank you very much. Jackie, great to have you. Who's it going to be tonight? 3 Lions or Demand Shaft?
I better don't comment on that one. Back to you.
Well, I think we'll need it. And if you don't want to watch the football, we've got an enthralling live stream of the council's overview and scrutiny committee that you can watch on the council's website. So yeah, you've got 2 great options there. Thank you to my guests. Thank you to all of you out there for being very patient as the COVID restrictions are lifted. We're nearly there, folks. Let's get vaccinated and let's get out of lockdown. Thank you for joining us. See you next time.